Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this online meetup. We are going to read and talk about a wonderful book by Heart Math Institute. If you don't know this institute, it's a wonderful institute. They do their researches and studies based on our heart. So they have discovered a lot of exciting news, and all those studies are helping us to live a better life. And tonight we are starting this online meetup. I'm going to be talking about this booklet. It's a booklet talking about how to eliminate anxiety, lift depression, and create security in your life. That's right. We are talking about the Overcoming Emotional Chaos by Doc Childry and Deborah Rosman, PhD, by the Heart Math Institute. All right, so we start tonight. So this is chapter 1, and tonight I'm here with Hua. He's by my side, and we are waiting for the other folks. Maybe they will be with us tonight, maybe next week. But we're going to talk about chapter 1 tonight, Emotions, the Next Frontier. And only chapter 1, we get an idea about how emotions affect our lives and what are we doing with it, with all those reflections and consequences of our emotions, and how can we start to bring all those feelings to our awareness, to our attention, and start to take care of those emotions, and these feelings. So I'm not going to read the whole chapter here online, because I prefer to talk about it and discuss it, especially when we have people participating. It's much better to exchange experiences other than read the chapter here. It would be boring. So it is better to prepare yourself and read before the online meetup so we can discuss about it. All right, so it works this way. So I talk about a point on the chapter, and then if you have something to say about it, it just cut off and start saying, or bring our attention to a certain point or idea. Okay, so the first phrase of the chapter, they say, for the vast majority of us, living is feeling. What can we understand living? How can we understand and perceive this idea of living is feeling? Have we ever thought about that? We experience a lot of emotions all the time in our lives, that we are basically, most of us, on a emotional roller coaster, and go up and down, and we are happy and sad in a very short period of time, or maybe we have a lot of emotional issues and problems, or not, or we don't detect any emotion at all.
I think that, at least for me, for the most part, I experience emotions the same way that I experience air. So the air is all around me all the time, 24/7, and I need it for my life. It's part of my life. But I'm not always aware of that air that I'm using to breathe and to live. And I'm not always aware of my emotions. So sometimes I do stop and I breathe, or I'm maybe out in nature and I'm breathing the air, the fresh air,
Right.
or I'm by the sea and I'm noticing the air has a different scent. But it's not all the time. It's not always that I'm aware, and it happens similarly. It happens with my emotions. They're always there. They're always uh, a, a very important part of my life, but I'm not always aware of them. I'm not always stop and realize that I have an emotion or I have a feeling, and there's an underlying reason for that feeling. There's something causing it, and also there are consequences of those feelings and emotions. And those are tools. I can see those as tools to improve my life,
Right.
but I'm not always aware. So that's for me
Like
the most important thing.
the emotions I see also, they enhance our experiences. Like when we see a loved one, like when we go to the airport to pick up someone, it is always such an exciting feeling and so good to see that person again. And it gives us this, it enhances our experiences. So it's much better when we detect this feeling of gratitude, of happiness, excitement. So it is part of our life and it is a natural thing. So all of us, we have, it's a natural thing and it's part of our life. And a life without feelings. In this chapter, they call our attention to that it would it would be a mechanical surviving to live a life without feelings. And it is not an alternative, or it would be a very painful one if we decide to live our life disconnected from our feelings. Hmm? Because when we don't understand the purpose of feelings or know how to interpret them, we can get anxious and angry and overreact. What can we say about that? When we don't understand. So I have this feeling and I don't understand the purpose of this feeling, or I don't know how to interpret them. What's going to happen? I'm like, what is this? What's going on with me? What am I feeling? Is this fear? Is this anxiety? I can't detect the feeling, and I don't know how to take care of myself or my feeling or react. Right? That's what they're talking about. Not that this is always bad, but if this is a natural part of our lives and we have those emotions and those feelings, wouldn't it be better if we could understand their purpose, why we have those feelings, and why we are in certain experiences and we create those feelings? Wouldn't it be better? Let's keep going. So, Overcoming Emotional Chaos book says unmanaged feelings and unresolved anguish lead to a lot of misunderstanding and hate. So, these are based on studies. What do we think when we read that
I,
phrase?
I think if I think on what um, provokes misunderstanding and even hate amongst people, when I hate somebody or I feel somebody hates me, what's underneath that? And most of the time, it's lack of knowledge or lack of communication that leads to fear. So if I take that to the level of emotions and feelings, I can think that likewise, it's a lack of self-knowledge, and I fear things that are within me that I don't even know, or I'm not I don't want to confront. I don't want to look into them, and that that lack of knowledge, yeah, leads to that hate or misunderstanding or feeling anxious or feeling depressed or feeling fear or feeling out of place.
Mm-hmm. No, so okay. So yeah, exactly. I agree with you. And the book says that the next frontier of human advancement is the emotional frontier. So what is expecting us in the future is this moment in the future is in humanity, in a society, expecting us to get there understanding our our emotions and our emotional frontier, our limitations and our feelings. The task is to learn how to intelligently resolve our emotions for our own and others' benefit, to enrich our experience in life. That's a very deep, because when I understand my emotions intelligently, I am in tune, sync with myself, with my essence. I know a lot about myself. I know about my boundaries, my limits. So it means that I have a lot of knowledge, a lot of self-knowledge. Thus, I also I have knowledge about others' feelings, emotions. Because of course, we mirror our own um, limitations and experiences on others, right? So continue if you don't have anything to say. Hard as they might try, they just can't control their anger, live to depression, or move beyond fears and insecurity, their emotional chaos, if we don't develop that part of our life, if we don't try to understand our emotions and feelings, if we just ignore it or deny it, it's going to lead to a lot of fears and depressions and insecurity, right?
Yep.
Because today, just to finish, because today we have more pressure that we can handle.
So when I'm reading this, just to give an example, I think um, I think of this. I don't even know if it's a if I should call it an illness or what. This fear of missing out that some people have, that something is going to happen and they won't be um, informed. They won't know, so they'll miss out whatever is happening. And in a way, I see these not knowing about our own emotions or being aware of our own emotions as missing out our own life. So what happens when we're anxious or depressed again? Um, even if it's for 5 minutes, we are missing out on our life. We don't know what's happening. We're not there. We're somewhere else.
Because the emotions won't go away.
Mhm.
Well, will not disappear by itself.
No, unless we look into them.
Exactly.
And another thing is that I've discovered that I can't cheat. So if I'm feeling I don't know, betrayed, or if I'm feeling um, that whatever that somebody is lying to me and that's getting me angry, um, it's not enough that I rationalize that and think, okay, um, I shouldn't be feeling like this. So, I'm just gonna calm down and keep going with my life, keep calm and whatever. That doesn't work like
It
that.
doesn't work this way. Yeah, no, it doesn't. That's why we need to bring our attention to those feelings. And we're going to be talking about some of them here so we can start to understand a few of them. And according to the book, we are going to see a few of them, which are the overcare, over identity, and over attachments. Hmm? As the book says, they are emotional virus, a virus in our society. So they cause a lot of um, vulnerability and anxiety, anger, hurt, overwhelm, depression, or fatigue. And if we don't start to look inside and try to understand what's going on with us, they can spread to others. So let's take a look. The overcare. So the idea of overcare is that we need to have a balance about self-care and care for others. The overcare, it's exactly when we try to overcare people and issues and things and can go uh, beyond our control, uncontrolled. And we have here an illustration. And the illustration here is a lady called Celeste and believed that she wasn't a loving mother to her children unless she was constantly worrying about them. Even though they were 35 and 42, she worried when they had a cold, worried when they went on vacation that something might happen, and when they visited, she worried whether they were dressed warmly enough when they went outdoors, just as she had always done since they were little. After all, she was a mother, and this is what mothers do. To Celeste, her worry, which translates as overcare, expressed her love for them. To the kids, who were now adults, Celeste's love overcare made them want to avoid her. As a result, they rarely called or visited. So the outcome, she had developed health problems there that are stress related, right? And according to her doctor, um, but is unaware or denial of the stress in her life. She's totally on denial, right? And the role is familiar and is what has defined her sense of who she is. So, and her personal values. So, this action, as over caring about her children, was confused with her personal values and with who she was. So she didn't realize that everything could improve across the board if she would give herself permission to move into a more balanced type of care with her children. This is a very common thing, especially with mothers, with parents, or with people that they're taking care of others. They believe that, some of them, of course, they believe that they can protect that person or that thing or the asset from all the mistakes, the wrongdoings, all bad things that can happen to them. And it's impossible. We don't have the control, that powerful control as we think we have, and we have limitations as well. So when I read this story, I was wondering if I was not doing the same thing in my life. I was just thinking if in any segment of my life I was not over caring about something, maybe my job, my personal life, or maybe a friendship or with family. It's a very good thing to meditate about.
Hmm. Yeah, my first reaction is to think I'm not there. That's not my problem. Um, but then if I think about it um, more and I reflect on it, I can find moments
Hmm.
when I do that.
Hmm.
Um, and I think, say for example, whenever I'm judging somebody,
Hmm.
I'm doing that because the next the step right after giving a judgment is trying to fix the situation
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and trying to
Mm-hmm.
do something that does not belong to you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a way of overcaring.
Good point.
Um,
Good point. Good point.
so yeah, or not trusting, or
Right.
even for me, I'm very goal oriented. So I really want things to be good and to get done, and to I want everybody to feel good. So I do whatever I think is necessary, even if my actions were uncalled for, or nobody really asked me to do this or that. Um, so I have to watch myself, not to do that, and
Right.
to refrain or stop myself, because the what happens if I don't is that when I overcare, I feel bad because I'm not being recognized for what I'm doing, and the people in front of me feel bad because they're receiving something they haven't asked for,
Right.
and maybe they don't want.
Right. And also show that you are not present to the real problem. So how can you help if you are trying to judge instead of trying to understand what is really going on, so you can uh, give a proper approach and help to the person, right?
So one thing, a tip, something can be done is work on letting go.
Yes.
Letting go is
Yes.
one of the ways
Yes.
that we can overcome over
Yeah.
um, caring.
Overcare. Yeah. And also because we all have our own path, our own journey, and we need to learn from our own experiences. Of course, we are not gonna deny help to our friends and family and to whoever needs our help, and we need to learn, understand our limitations and how we can help, and give the help if we feel like, but with maturity, intelligently, as the book talks about, understanding that we can help, but we have our limitations too. We are limited to leave that person free to decide whatever they want and what way they want to go. So the next point is over identity, another very, very common one. So over identity is when one's own identity it's overly invested in a person, place, issue, or thing. Then we have the over identity. Also, ideas, beliefs, and other values, right? They also talks about the anger, judgment, and blame, and placing us in a victim's mode. That's also the type of over identity, especially these days where people they have the social media and they have all those gadgets, and so people are overwhelmed trying to balance their lives with all that is going on at the same time, real time, and participate in all at once. So let's read the illustration. So the illustration goes, Don was so over identified with his projects and performance at work that it took a toll on his people skills. Whenever Don's boss would call and leave him a voicemail, Don would anxiously redial his boss every 2 minutes and wouldn't talk to anyone else until he could reach him. Don lost clients and his coworkers felt put off. He was overly concerned with his projects and performance and what his boss might think because to him his work was his identity. Therefore, nothing could ever be perfect enough. So basically, he was pushing like too hard on himself. So the outcome, so he was never able to see that his over identity led to a blind perfectionism, that the cost that cost him his job, and he was angry and depressed. And after he was fired, he became fanatical about his religion and politics and alienated all his friends. And so this story showed us that when we don't take time to find out who we are, our nature, our essence, and we have our values very clear to us and what values we are honoring and dishonoring, we will continue to allow other people, places, issues, and things to define us. So instead of me being unique in my own personality, I will be my work, I will be my religion, I will be my social group, I will be my soccer team or football team. And I will get, I will put myself in a struggle and difficult situation because of that. And it happens a lot. So we see people fighting with each other because of those things that I just said. And it's really sad. And I've been there. I've been there. I was part of this. Maybe I'm not originally from the States. So I was all fired up when someone was talking about the country I was born. But then I lived in different countries and then I lost that identity and that over identity because I started to like another country just like my own, and another one, and another one, and so I lost that. I'm like, oh, but I love all those countries. I don't have more the over identity of the country that I was born. Also with other things, other cultural things like sports or company. So when those when the labels are stronger than me, are more important than me. I need to be behind the labels, the things, people, and that is concerning. Because if we remove all the layers, all the labels, what is there? What is laying there in our essence? Who I am? What is my essence? What is my nature? When I remove my profession, my last name, my spouse role, my professional role, my social role, what is there? What is laying there?
Um, I think I feel when I see this paragraph about over identity that we're talking about a coin with two sides,
Right.
and you may find the same labels at each side, but if that particular label matches who you truly are, who your essence is, then it's a positive label, let's say. If it is one that you just adopted um,
Mm-hmm.
without truly being yours,
Mm-hmm.
then it's a negative label. And if you're on the side of the negative labels, which means you probably don't know yourself, um, or you don't want to know yourself, or you fear, uh, then the emotions that those labels that you put on are going to bring are going to contribute to your emotional chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And in extreme cases, which are not that rare, they will lead to something really bad for society, which is fanaticism. And that's that happens when we are so identified with labels that are not uh, who we are, who we
Exactly.
truly are.
You're not yourself anymore. You are that thing or
Mhm.
that
That
label. Yeah.
label, and that then we become fanatics, and we all know the two things. We all know the amount of problems that causes, and violence, and
Right.
sadness, and we know how difficult it
Right.
is to escape from fanatism. Um, but if we take the same label when it truly belongs to us, and
Mm-hmm.
it's truly ourselves, and we show that, then we are on the positive side of the label,
Right.
and then we expand, and
Right.
then
We join forces.
yeah,
Right.
and we generate empathy,
Right.
and some I see it as two sides of the same
Yes.
coin.
Yes. But even on the positive side, we still have some work to do in finding out our uniqueness, our how original we are, and a unique human being. Yeah, that's a very good point. Very good point. And the last one, over attachment. That's when our self worth is low or lacking in some area, and we overly attach ourselves to someone, some place, some issue, or something that would send a message back that we were valued or off value. So over attachment represses those we love and suffocates our inner peace and security. Over attachment is we're not capable to let go if we are over attached. Simply, yes, we can't let go. So the illustration. So Joanne and Brad had been married for 4 years. For 4 years. Brad felt he couldn't do anything without being under the present watchful eye of Joanne. As for Joanne, she just wanted him to know she was there for him. When they went to parties, Joanne would spend the whole evening trying to make sure that Brad was having a good time. She would constantly ask him if he wanted another drink or let him know who was coming into the room in case he wanted to talk with them. Brad felt so suffocated by Joanne's over attachment that he insisted on going to a marriage counselor. So the outcome, because John felt so insecure about her own value and identify, she felt the need to create a reason for Brad to keep her around and not stray or go away. Brad was feeling choked by the obsessive attention, and they eventually divorced. Joanne felt rejected, betrayed, and not understanding why. So it happens a lot. And it looks like the first, the overcare that we were talking about, but that's over attachment. So this person was trying to, maybe we don't know the reason, that there are plenty of reasons, but we feel insecure and we try to do everything so we don't learn that thing or that person. We don't lose, I'm sorry. We don't lose that thing or that person. And we want to create as many attachments as possible so this thing will never go away, will never leave us. So we are over attached.
I think the logical way to work on it would be to work on letting go, but as same as the overcare. But
Right.
I think the overattach is probably a step behind, and it needs to work on self-love
And self-love.
before
I think so too.
it can work on letting go.
Mhm.
So that's probably one step behind.
Right. Right. Of course, each case is a case. We would need to talk with Joanne to see how she's feeling, and before Brad, how is she feeling good about herself? So there are many questions there. We are just talking about that very without going deeply in each case. So the book explains to us that in each of the above examples, overcare, over identity, over attachment, was an unconscious emotional habit. So those things happen when we are not aware of our emotional habits. So when our feelings cause suffering, the outcome is overwhelm, anxiety, or depression. And I am going to read this part of the book, this paragraph. It says, most of us don't understand why. We haven't a clue as to how to release our feeling world from the clutches of habits. We suffer silently, or we reach for solace from friends, religion, therapy, or self-help movies and stimulants. Right? So we are in this quest for, we are in this suffering, and then we start to look for things, but this is all unconsciously because we don't understand what's going on with us, and we never stop to meditate or even think that this might be an imbalance in our emotional level of understanding. So, if we can take an honest look in humanity's emotional advancement can see no farther along than it was during the caveman's day. So we didn't develop much from the caveman's day to until now, until what we are living now. Even though we have all this technology and advancements in medicine and other sectors, industries, but um, we behave, our behavior and feelings are pretty much the same, right? Because yet we didn't focus enough on our feelings and emotions, right? What we need is to take a better look in our emotion, our hearts. So the book says that there are numerous studies um, that shows that emotional stress is highest among the impoverished and repressed. It is also extremely high among executives, professionals, and full-time working mothers, right? In the United States, almost 1 out of 5 school-aged children have behavior problems as a result of emotional distress, more than double the number in 1980. So there are a lot of uh, issues related: depression, eating disorders, adjustments, difficulties, hyperactivities, and other psychosocial problems, and increasing in children and adults. And those things are very disturbing in our modern life. So, how long, the authors ask, how long can we keep up with the accelerating speed of life and uncertainty? What will be the ongoing emotional and health consequences and the social consequences? This is a question for us. We need to meditate about it. So, probably most of us, we never recognized those feelings and emotions we are talking about here tonight: over care, over identity, and over attachments as the base, the root for some emotional problems. They are difficult to find out because they are very much connected with our basic human needs. And those basic human needs is to care, to have identity, and to feel secure, right? And we don't understand when it's balanced and when it's unbalanced. We would need to learn about more about ourselves in order to find out where is the limit. So also says here that it's no coincidence that the ancient cultures like Greece or China, they paid attention to the heart as a primary source of feeling, virtue, and intelligence. And religions all over the world talk about the heart as the seat of the soul and the doorway to spirit or higher self. So just telling us the importance of those studies that they've been doing in the Heart Math Institute. And also telling us that the world, we are ready today. We're more than ready to learn about the ability and the power of the heart to manage our emotions. Good news. Good news. Good news. Okay. So the invitation here in this by these researchers, they're saying that the solution is within us, is in our heart. So now we see a lot of movements and a lot of action that shows that people care about other people. We see a lot of projects, a lot of nonprofit organizations, and that are creating programs and projects that can involve others, embrace others as the meaning of a charity of helping others, or just helping uh, folks all over the world to have a better life, especially those that are in need. So now we understand that we have a need to develop this part of the body, to understand the language of the heart, the language of our feelings, and is our next step, right? So we need to understand the heart's intelligence and power, and the Heart Math Institute says that is is seated in love, right? Intelligence and power is seated in love, and everyone wants to love, but few of us have been taught how to love or be loved, and this lack of understanding of love is at the heart of overcare, over identity, and over attachment and emotional chaos. Okay, so we are going to do our personal evaluation. We have 1 minute, and what we would do is we will think on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 as very low and 5 as very high, an estimate of our emotional set point. So we'll give you a number. So 1 very low and 5 very high, right? And we're gonna detect what triggers irritation, frustration, anxiety in us, or overreaction, right? In our feelings. So I'm gonna ask a question to all of us, including me, and for a few seconds, we're just gonna think about what what is the number of that feeling. Okay? So where in your life, in your own life, do you feel you're not doing enough? So let's think about our professional life, personal life, social life, and on a scale 1 to 5, what score would you give? Where in our own life we feel we are not doing enough? I have detected, and I already gave a number. Yes? Good? Okay, next question. So, where in our own life we feel we are not being enough? So, where in your life do you feel you are not being enough? Okay. And the next question, where in your life do you feel you're not giving enough? Or doing too much? Where in your life do you feel you're doing too much? Or being too much? Or giving too much? And where do you feel you compromise yourself? How do you feel about that? Any judgments, resentments, or blame?
Yeah, so not too happy about it. Um, but it's an exercise of humility also to accept and that's happened to me,
Yeah,
and that I have to have a long way ahead to improve.
yeah. It's a good start, and we deserve it because our emotions, they are very important to us, and they will dictate our actions. Our actions are based on how we feel toward things and people. And we deserve to take a good care and a good look on in this. And I recommend when you do this, when you do this personal evaluation, and I'm going to read the questions again at the end. So try to breathe through your heart and listen to the questions and write down the questions. So the first question is, where in your life do you feel you're not doing enough? Where in your life do you feel you're not being enough? Where in your life do you feel you're not giving enough? Where in your life do you feel you're not doing too much? Where in your life do you feel you're not being too much, giving too much? Where do you feel you compromise yourself? And how do you feel about that? If you have any judgments, resentments, or blame. This is it, and I'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye.